Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome, everybody, to another episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald here on the Brushwood Media Network and lots of other places as well. And we've got a great show for you today. And this lady needs no introduction because she's been on the show before and she's going to be on the show again. Her name is Andrea Wehlann, and she is and got a yoga studio called Ganga Moon, which is in, I believe it's just north of New York. And you're in Canada, right?
I am, yes. 6 hours from Manhattan.
Oh,
Yes.
very nice. Do you ever go there?
It's my favorite place. It's my favorite place to go. Yes.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. It's expensive to
Mhm.
go there, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
In any event, I wanted to have you back on the show because I wanted to specifically talk about some things that you can help our listeners maybe understand a little bit better and maybe live their lives a little bit more completely. Because
Mm,
for those of you who know you, you have got a background of you've had a lot of trauma in your life and you've had things go wrong and stuff, but there was a point in time for you when you decided to make a really big change, and that led to being the person that you are today. And I thought that what we would do is talk about and not the trauma, not the things that went wrong for you, but the things that you
mhm,
did and the process that you went through to be able to come out the other side and to become the person that you are today. Because you would never
mhm,
know by looking at you and by listening to you talk and by working with you that all of that
mhm,
is in your past. But
mhm,
there are lots of people that it's not in their past yet. It's in their present. And it's important for, and I know that you talk to a lot of people who are in that place and they are looking
mhm,
to get out of it. Does that make sense?
mhm. It does. Yeah. It does make sense.
So let's bypass the trauma just to say that there was a lot when you were a kid growing up and when you were a young adult. And
Mhm.
there was a point in time when you decided that you were going to make some changes. Do you remember that conversation that you had with yourself when you kind of made that decision?
Yeah, I think it's happened more than once, and I think it really you have to remake that decision quite often. Once you've made it, I think we're never really. Do you notice we never really get there, and something else is always kind of arising? You know,
Yep.
it, it's a bit of a process, but um, I have to remake my decisions. They get easier and strengthened and stronger, but I always have a choice to fall back on the darkness. I always have a choice to be rude or upset or to live my days a certain way. But I consciously make the choice now, and I'm consciously rewarded for making the choice with magic, no coincidences, meeting soul family, moments like this, that I really am making the best choice that I can make for myself right now. And
Is
it's
it
an ongoing process. Mm-hmm.
I agree with that because all the
Mm-hmm.
experiences that I've had in my life have led to this moment and this conversation,
Mm-hmm.
which but for some folks, they are still stuck in that decision-making process of making choices
Mm-hmm.
that serve them rather than keep them going down the same path. Because in
Mm-hmm.
my world, the universe will continue to give you the same challenges until you begin
Mm-hmm.
to defeat them and are ready to move on with different challenges. Not that they're going to be a lot
Mhm.
better, but they're going to be different, and they continue to grow you as a person as you go through life. Is it? I think that's
Right.
how it's designed, isn't it? Don't you think?
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And I think for people listening that might be stuck, here's one of the things that I noticed. I noticed there's a pattern. And just as you said, things repeat themselves until we get the lesson or until we choose to rise to meet the occasion and to evolve and to be maybe a little bit better than we were yesterday, which I think is the goal. I mean, for me, I really just want to leave the world a little bit better place than when I found it. But when I was young, um, a couple times that made me really make that decision, no, I need to do something different, was when certain things would start to happen to me, but they would keep happening to me. And so you could start to see a pattern. So it's like, say you have a job, just to keep it simple for people listening or what have you, just to pick up the concept really easy, is say you have a job and you get fired. You get your next job, you get fired. You get your next job, you get fired. At some point, you'll keep getting fired because obviously, I would say, in my opinion, that that is the universe trying to show you something within yourself that needs to, I don't know if it's correction or bring awareness to it, something that you can shine a light on here and maybe focus on to help other people, perhaps. But when there's a repetition and something serious keeps happening, for me, it was rape, sexual assault, those things, a little cluster in a row that made me look at things differently and make a decision. Another thing that I noticed was another time when I made that decision that you first asked about was noticing the expression on other people's faces. So when I was little and I felt really terrible, or I was crying in my bedroom, singing Celine Dion songs in the mirror, saying I would never make anybody feel that way, you know, making all these promises um, to God and the universe just to get me out from where I was, and I would just love so hard. When I was in university and I made some terrible choices and some things that I would never do again this day and age. But what I noticed was the expression on other people's faces. And I didn't want people looking at me like that. I didn't want my actions to have that effect on somebody else. I don't want anything that I do to cause anybody else more suffering, harm, to feel ashamed of themselves, any negative reaction. And so I really looked at people's faces and what I was doing and the effect it would have on somebody else. And make no mistake, I believe wholeheartedly right now, every vibration coming out of my soul is having an effect right now. And I want all those effects for the rest of my life now, consciously, to be positive, to heal, to be loving.
Well, to travel along the job thing a little bit. When I worked for a bus company in Seattle for 12 years, and they had a rule that you could not be more than 59 seconds late, or you would get written up and you would lose your shift, and they would send you home, and somebody else would take your route, and all of that. There were people, for whatever reason, that could not get there on time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there for 12 years and was never late once. And so consequently, when you make decisions that can affect your job, like something as simple as being late, which to me is very easy to correct, to make a different decision, which would be, why don't you leave the house 15 minutes earlier? Rather than, because there's you know this, there are some people who believe that being early is some sort of a sin or something, because they want to make sure that they're going to get there right on time, so they wait, and then get there in the last minute, or they have the stress of being almost late, or if there's an accident, or if there's a problem, then they
Mm-hmm.
are late. And in my world, that just doesn't make any sense. So, but there are people who make that conscious decision until they don't. And and it's the same thing. Like if you are in a relationship, and then you're in another relationship, and then you're in another one, and none of them are working out because you're dating the same person in a different suit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. It'll keep coming up for you. I think ultimately we're here to grow. We're here to understand, and it's always ourselves. That's always the answer. That's one lesson that I love that I learned is I'm always the answer. Why is this person doing this to me? Why did this happen at my job? Why all of it? The answer is always me. And another thing that I know for certain is that the answer is always love. Every question is fear, and the answer is always love.
That's a wonderful philosophy to have. Say that again.
Every question is fear. Every answer is love. You are the answer to every question.
You know, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. Can I put that on a
Oh,
t-shirt?
can I have one?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Of, of course, because we've got and I don't know that a lot of people know this, but on positivetalkradio.net, we have a little store, and it has
Wow.
t-shirts with sayings on it, and it's got hats, and
Yeah.
it's got mugs, and it's got all those things that and so it's a good reminder. Like
Mhm.
one of the
Yeah.
t-shirts has be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. And
Mhm.
it's just a reminder to yourself of
Mhm.
who you are trying to be and who you can be. So
Mhm.
so if I can put that on a t-shirt, I will.
Oh, please do. Please do. I will order it. I've seen your store. I love it. One of my dreams is to have these kind of words and these lessons that I've learned to be on a coffee mug, to be on a t-shirt, because it's so important. These are things that I had to go through all of my experiences for 40 years ish um, to learn. So the reason I share my story is so that hopefully the people behind me or the people listening can suffer a little bit less and can catch these. The consciousness is risen, and hopefully people can catch these lessons a little bit quicker and yeah, live their best life.
And that's why you and I are here, to be able to do
Hmm.
this for folks, be able to talk to them in terms of, okay, look, it hasn't always gone well for everybody. Now, I've done a lot of radio shows and all that kind of good stuff, but I've still had what I call my bad country music song period. And everybody does. And everybody gets to learn about themselves and the experience that they've
Hmm.
had. And and
Hmm.
and but a lot of us are not sure how to proceed. If you were, okay, I'm going to anoint you queen for a day. Ready?
Hmm.
And as queen for a day, I want you to kind of give our listeners that maybe, and I honestly believe that there is somebody, probably more than one, that is listening to this show whenever they hear it, because they're in that place of
Hmm.
what they want to change from where they are to fix what's going on in their life, but they don't know how.
Hmm.
Can you give us a few? Now, yoga being one of them, and you can always go to your yoga studio. Reiki would be another one. You can learn about Reiki and the stuff, but it doesn't really
Hmm.
start there. It starts at the
Hmm.
very beginning. What would be the very beginning, do you think?
Meditation closes that gap from where you are and who you want to be. Meditation closes that gap from who you are now and that vision of who you want to be. There's a gap there, there's a space, and meditation closes that gap. A
Now,
practice, yep.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Mm-hmm.
When you because meditation when I first started this 20 years ago, meditation was kind of one of those, it's now coming to scientific fact that being quiet and meditating lowers your stress, lowers your heart rate. It makes you consider things you hadn't considered before, and so it can be a very positive experience. How do you help people and teach them? Is it the breathing techniques that you teach? Is it those sorts of things to start with?
My big teaching, I don't know what you call it, not item, but my big teaching practice really is about the breath. And I teach that the breath is always there. just like a best friend. That's what I'll tell children that are learning. If you close your eyes right now in this moment, you can feel your breath. And it might be that some people can feel their breath in their tummy, kind of as the breath rises and falls. And even if you're in your car, you can, if your eyes are closed, you are in your feeling body. And when your eyes are closed, you can feel where you feel your inhale and your exhale. It might be at the nostrils. When you inhale, it's nice cold feeling at the nostrils. And the exhale, the breath is nice and warm. Or you might just feel the inhale, the contracting sensations, the body filling up with breath, or the expansion, sorry. And as you exhale, there's a contracting feeling as the breath leaves the body. Wherever it's easiest to feel your breath, that's where you start. But that's the way in, and that's always there. And your body is always in the present moment. But your mind can tell you stories all day long. So you talk about your store and how you have those amazing sayings as reminders. This is also why in yoga, why we have mala necklaces, mala bracelets, things like this. These are reminders. But why? Why do we need reminders? Because the function of the mind is to forget and to remember. And if we're not putting in these positive things, if we're not holding that coffee mug or wearing the t-shirt from your store with the positive saying, of course we're in forget. But we have tools of consciousness, or we wear the mala. So every time I see it, it's a reminder, I'm conscious, I'm awake. When you see a Buddha statue, the Buddha statue is not for, as far as any of my teachings, and I've had a yoga teacher for 13 years, 4 years, and 4 years. Before I ever taught yoga class, I never wanted to teach in front of people. I was always too shy. But the Buddha, as far as I've been taught in all of my teachings, is not a statue present sitting there for a religion or a god. As far as what I was taught from 1999 onwards to today, I'm still learning, is that every time you see the Buddha statue, it is you. And so you have a chance when you see it sitting somewhere to just acknowledge that, oh, I'm awake. This is a t-shirt. This is a reminder. So on the top of my staircase in my house, there's a Buddha, and on each knee of the Buddha that's sitting there, cross-legged, one sign says awake and one sign says asleep. So when I go up the stairs, I know if I'm awake, if I see awake. If I walk right by the Buddha, obviously I'm asleep. So there's little, but this is me. I like to practice and work these Zen teachings, Zen koans, to kind of strengthen those mental muscles in my mind. But
I think it's really, first of all, if people that are listening to this, they would not believe that you were too shy to teach, because you're not too shy to teach. You've been on the radio with me several times, and you are very articulate, and you're very good at what you do. And that's not something that you used to be, but it is what you are today. So that's really cool.
I just think it's bigger than me. I think to myself, who am I to not say the lessons that I've learned? I've been through so much and so many situations that I've watched shows on Oprah and Dr. Phil shows, and these girls don't make it. And I really feel, if I'm having a fat day or an ugly day or whatever day it is, I really feel like, forget that. My mind is a liar half the time, but there's people out there that need to hear the story. So I'm a vessel for those things, because hopefully, somebody else can rise to their potential from hearing some of the words from the lessons that I've learned, from the wisdom I've cultivated, from the poetry that I write, from the books that I've written, or from the yoga classes that I teach.
You just said something really, really, really vital, and that is people talking about, oh, today I'm having a fat day, or today I'm having a bad hair day, or it's nothing but stories that we're telling ourselves that somebody else told us in the past, that you're too, you're fat, or you're too skinny, or you're too short, or you're too this or that. And we tend to believe those things. When we come back, I want to talk to you more about the stories that we tell ourselves and why they can be just so damning to our growth as a human being,
Mhm.
because we tend to talk in terms of, well, you know, my dad said, or my mom said, so that must be
Mhm.
true. We're going to talk about that when we come back. We're talking with Andrea Wehlann, and you can go
Mhm.
to your website, which is
Ganga Moon Yoga squaresite.com.
and we'll be right back. Don't go away. It's just 30 seconds. Just just calm yourself. We'll be right back.
They have your eyes. They have your ears. They have your smile. Now all they need is a little more of your time. Make a difference in your child's life, because anyone can be a father. It takes time to be a dad.
And welcome back. Welcome back to Positive Talk, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and I even made Andrea giggle with that one. I just like to play, you know, music that's got a lot of energy to it, and to kind of get everybody
Yes.
excited about being listening to the show, and waking them up a little bit as they're
Mhm.
driving around or whatever. By the way, if you're driving, don't close your eyes and meditate, but you can still meditate with your eyes open, which
Yeah.
is we'll talk about that. But you know, the stories that we tell ourselves. I was with my brother and his girlfriend one time, and a homeless guy walked up to us, and he said, "My life is so terrible." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, because this happened in the past, and this happened in the past." And I said, "So, what are you going to do about it?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You have the ability to change all that. All that's gone. That has nothing to do with you today." And he was like, but that was my past. That was what that said. So it's all gone. It's today and the future. What are you going
Mhm.
to do with yourself? Are you going to be homeless next year? Are you going to be always in a state of hunger? You can fix that, but you have to be willing to do that. Was that good advice to give to that guy?
Yes. Yes. People, I think we should teach this in grade 4. Yes. You have control. You can change the stories in your mind. You're not what you think, and you are more than your thoughts. My favorite T-shirt that I just made at the yoga studio. I took a picture to show you, but it won't translate for people not watching. But it says, "My mind is a liar," and on the back is Ganga Moon Yoga and Reiki School. But yeah, really,
I think that's really cool, because
yeah,
our
my mind is a liar.
that's
Yeah,
gonna have to go on another T-shirt. That's
let's
all I
see.
gotta say.
You know, it's you know, I think it takes a while to believe that. I think we're really convincing of ourselves, and the stories that we tell ourselves, keep us chubby or keep us skinny or keep us in our circle of friends, keep us watching the shows that we watch, and doing the things that we do. And there's a comfort in that. But there's also cement boots in that, and there's ankle biters in that. And I think it takes a lot of bravery and a lot of courage, one, to just acknowledge that you have control over your mind, and then two, to start telling yourself, the stories about who you want to be. For me, it was I want to be someone that when other people walk in the room, you can feel the transformation. I want to alchemize the things that happen to me and turn it into love. Like, that was my jam. Those are the stories that I had to tell myself, but not without writing out all of the negative stories first. It doesn't just happen. There's not a band-aid that you put on. But really, if you want to change and you want to be that person, that little voice that's inside your head, write down all the stories that aren't you, and then write the stories of that new person. You have to work with it. Like, you have everything in you, which is so amazing. It's the bad and the good, or the dark
Dark
and
and the light.
light. Yeah, it's better. Gosh, I'm surprised I said that. Old ghosts pop up all the time, but I've really tried to take out good and bad from my vocabulary for a couple years. But we have it all inside of us. Both, yeah. Somebody once said, if you don't know your Hitler side, like your side of what you would die for and what you would kill for, and who you are when you're angry, you'll never know who you are when you're truly loving somebody and truly, truly sweet. And that was so interesting to me. And, having my experiences that I had when I was little, thank goodness, because I wouldn't consciously pick those now, but I had them. And so I really know how to love somebody. And if you've read my book of poetry, no matter how dark the stain, one person read that book and said to me, I don't think I've ever been loved like that. And I thought, well, that's the opposite of grief, right? Is how deep is your pain, is how deep you can love, I think.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And that is one of the things. I'm always constantly amazed because in some of our lives we get to touch so many other people, but not all that many other people when you think about it. There are 8 billion people in the world.
Mhm.
You get to touch maybe the typical person, unless you're in the service trades and you talk to a lot of people like I was. You don't get to talk to a ton of people. So your sample size of people who are going to love you is fairly small. And a lot of times, those people that you assume are the only ones out there to love you and don't love you the way that you'd like to be loved, you tend to think that, okay, nobody loves me because I'm inadequate. Again, that's a story we tell ourselves.
Mhm.
Make any, it's do I need medication?
It's constant. The stories are constant, but this is how your mind functions. The whole function of the mind is to wander off, and it only wanders off in certain things. It wanders off in thoughts, ideas, perceptions. Usually that's about it. And then there's stories attached to each of those. So one of the Zen practices that I did for years with my Zen Buddhist teacher, who taught me how to understand how your mind works, was we would sit quietly, and you might practice this. We would sit quietly, close your eyes. Every thought arises, invokes emotion, and passes. Every thought. It's not rocket science. If your eyes are closed and you're sitting there, a thought will arise, invoke an emotion, and pass. So one thing we did was there was 3 baskets. We would pick if it was like past, present, or future, and then we'd throw each thought in the little basket, like mentally, right? So a lot of people think when you're meditating, you're just sitting there with your eyes closed, or the last pose in yoga, shavasana, is like the sleeping pose, people will call it. But we're not just sitting there letting the mind do whatever the mind does. They call it the monkey mind, because it'll just keep going. And that's rumination. So with meditation, we're not ruminating. We're mentally training. Okay, the thought is coming. Is it the past, present, or future? Then it's gone. And then you do it with the next one. But this is no different than physically going to the gym and doing a bicep curl. I know, because I'm a personal trainer. Once you do one bicep curl, you strengthen that muscle, and then you keep building on top of it. And it's not different mentally. The only difference is people go to the gym for membership, but they don't always go to a mental gym for membership. Have you heard of this? I'm just going to my mental gym to strengthen my spiritual muscles. It doesn't happen. But which makes it so much more so important that we're doing this. And this is where my book, Deeper Days, 365 Yoga Inspirations for Inner Calm Amidst Chaos, comes from. Just spending one moment, 1 minute or 2 minutes during the morning of spiritual practice, or just saying a prayer, whatever it is for you, just having that moment of calm, it changes your entire day.
And I know that you've probably heard this, and somebody mentioned it on this show last week or the week before, that our brain produces 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And that's a crazy number when you think about it. But go
And
ahead.
whose thoughts are those? Then ask yourself, who's thinking? Whose thoughts are these?
Mine always continually sounds like my mother. but that's me. It can be it, it can
It's
be it
all of
can
us.
be
It's
it could be your
impressions.
dad, it can be your wife, it could be any number of things that you and I gotta ask you this. I
Mhm.
want to ask you this question because I'm always wondered about it. And we need to take a station break. But when we come back, I'm going to ask her why it is that we value other people's opinions of us so much more than we value our own opinion of us. We need to take a station break. We'll be right back. We're talking with Andrea L. Wehlann. She's a yoga teacher, yoga instructor, Ganga Moon yoga in just Google Ganga Moon and you'll find it, right?
Mhm. Ganga Moon Yoga. Yes.
Very good. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And we have Andrea L. Wehlann here. She's a marvelous, simply marvelous girl, I must say. I don't know why I do that.
I was going to do an accent, but
It's all right. I do them all the time. And it's fun. But she is a yoga instructor. She's also I've talked to you a bunch. I did not know you were a personal trainer as well, and
yes.
you're a mother, and you're a meditation instructor, and you do all kinds of things. And in concert with your life, which is now, which is different than the life you used to lead, but all of it is designed, I think, by the divine to put you in a position of where you can relate to everyone that you meet, because there are very few people that have had more crap go wrong in their life than you have in yours, yet you come through it all in such a great way. Now, the question I asked before the break was, why is it that we value other people's opinions of us far more than we value our own opinions of us?
So I'll challenge the word value to see if it's value. But here's the thing that happens. So we were talking about how your mind works. If you don't know how your mind works, get to know how your mind works. And let me tell you something here. The left side of your brain is logic, questions, inquiry. The right side of your brain is creativity. This is where your art comes from, all of those positive thoughts, the creative things that you do, your martial arts, these things. It's very quick happening, and that's it. The left side of your brain is where you're thinking. Energy works like this. What you focus on expands. Now, somebody says to you, Kevin, what does somebody say? Tell me.
What did somebody say to me?
Yeah, that makes you think about it.
If somebody says you're just not very smart.
So then here's what happens. Somebody told me I'm not very smart, but where would he get that from? Somebody said that to me in high school, or somebody said, do you see how your mind will pick up every story about that? And what's happening here is we're feeding that energy. It's questioning, it's going around. And so there is no creativity. There is no love. You're not thinking about your mala bracelet. You're not thinking about the t-shirt with the positive reminder, because the mind cannot serve two masters. It only can serve one. So when somebody says something negative to you, the stories that attach to that, when your mind is not trained, will go on all the way from childhood. So if someone says, oh, you're chubby. Okay, I was chubby in high school. Well, I was chubby as a kid. Well, in ballet, they had to put a band around me to try and keep my tummy in. It goes on. But when this is happening, it's all on the left side of the brain. It's all the energy is there. And that's why we think we're valuing that opinion, but we just haven't put in something with the right side of the brain, which would quiet all of that noise down, or a yoga class, or a meditation class, some kind of spiritual practice to break up that. So it's not that we're valuing it, but it makes us question and it makes us think. And wherever energy is, it expands. What you focus on expands. The whole meaning of the word mantra, like why is there even mantras around? Mantra is a favorite song lyric. Mother Teresa, one popular one that I like to teach yoga classes with at Ganga Moon Yoga is smile. Peace begins with a smile. And it does. When you smile, you feel peace inside your body. But the whole idea that there's mantra or mala bracelets or these kinds of practices is that man means the word mind, and tra is the TRA from transportation, transport trucks driving around. It's a vehicle. So we need the mind vehicle to get into the mind to be able to say the positive words. You have to be able at this day and age, and you are able at this day and age, to get control of your mind. Your mind should be working for you now. If it hasn't, it's dead. The past is dead. If you're listening to this now, get your mind on your side. You can live the rest of your life with your mind on your side.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I did want to mention the fact that you were talking about when I said somebody might say that I wasn't very smart. When I was 6 years old, another 6-year-old kid, we were playing together, and he got mad at me, and he said, "Get lost." I carried that for 20 years. Now, this was a 6-year-old child who said that, and I translated that into nobody wants to be around me because he told me to get lost. And that became so deeply embedded that when a similar situation like that would come up, my natural inclination is, well, they're just going to tell you to get lost anyway, so don't even try. You see how insidious that can get, and how it can grow to become much bigger than a 6-year-old. I mean, I'm sure that if he's still around, that he doesn't remember anything about that. But for me, I carried that for 30 or 20 years. And so we all do that, don't we?
We all do that. It's called samskaras. And in yoga, in my practice, in my studies, it's samskaras. They're which is the root word for scar. And these are the repeating patterns, repeating scars, samskaras. That's just like if you're driving on the beach, a tractor on the beach leaves those tire marks on the beach, and then you hear it again, get lost. There's another tire mark. Get lost. There's another groove. It gets deeper and deeper, these samskaras, these scars that we have, which makes the yoga practice gives some space between us and the samskara. And in that space, or in that extra breath, or in that moment of silence, we know that we're so much more than those things. We can see that those stories aren't the only stories. So you're always more than you think. But yeah.
Well, you are. And let me explain to you how insidious this can be. And I've mentioned this on the show before, but it bears repeating for this instance. When I was a kid, on Saturdays, I had to clean my room. And my mom would say, I would ask to go out and play. And she said, you need to clean your room first. And she said, I'm going to the store. When I get back, the room should be clean. And if it is, you can go out and play. And so sometimes I will I'll get a wild hair, and I'll just try and do the best job I can. I'll get the vacuum out and I'll do underneath the bed and I'll make sure the clothes are all put away and the place looks nice and it's dusted and all that kind of stuff. And in this case, I even put the vacuum cleaner away. And so consequently, my mother comes home and I said, "Can I go play now?" And she said, "No, you got to clean your room." And I said, "I did." She said, "No, you didn't." I said, "Yes, I did." She said, "No, you didn't." What do you mean? She said, "The vacuum's not out." Because I actually put the vacuum away. Now, fast forward 60 years, guess what doesn't even have a place to be put in my house today? The vacuum.
Your mom.
No, it's the vacuum. The vacuum is in my living room, pure as heck, just sitting there because I can't put it away because of that story that I told myself and my mother told me from years ago. That's how it's and I was it took me a long time, and then I was just looking at my vacuum cleaner one day going, "Oh my God, that's why I never put the vacuum away."
You know, what a blessing and really grace that you and I can laugh at these things right now. But when you're going through these things, it's no joke. It's not fun. It's serious, and we also know that too, right? And so
Oh yeah.
and so keep going. Like when things feel dark and when things feel shady, like just keep going, because you know, maybe one day you'll be able to laugh and tell the story in a different way. And one thing about these stories that we're telling, this is why I love these conversations. If we're going to have a new future, if our kids are going to catch on to these things a little bit quicker than we did, which is really the goal of evolution, right? Then we need to be having these new conversations where we're putting out these new stories. And then that's how we'll have a new world.
Yep, I call it the 7-generation cycle that we're breaking. Because it goes from generation to generation to generation until somebody gets up the courage and has the ability to break that cycle, whatever it is, whether it's abuse, alcoholism, whatever the family trait is. And we all have that family trait where it's like, you remember Uncle Robert? Oh yeah, he was a big drunk. And and we all have got those stories about our family. And somebody's got to break the cycle at one point.
Yeah. And it might be the black sheep. Like, who came up with that story? It's the black sheep or the bright light? No, I don't know. I'm going to change that story. I got to rewrite that later tonight.
Exactly. And you are a writer, and you do so much. And by the way, I really am enjoying this conversation because you are so bright and you are so gifted at what you do. And you've been doing this for how long? You've been doing this now? Since when did you take your first class till now? Been 20 years?
I love this story. My first yoga class was in 1999 in New York City, right beside the David Letterman Theater. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
99 until now.
Which by the way is where the Beatles played in 1964.
Ooh, we should go there.
That would be my
City. I love it.
that would be one of my bucket list things.
Okay. Well, I'm going to second that, because where two minds are joined, it amplifies everything. So yes, 1999, New York City. 5 years of meditation class I did prior to any yoga, anything physical in the yoga way. Always been working out since grade 9. But 5 years of NLP and meditation training. And then 1999, I went to yoga. I never wanted to teach. I get anxiety in front of cameras, in front of being in front of people. Even to the point where I would take my glasses off at the gym when I had glasses on, just so I didn't have to see people. Always been like that. But after having my yoga teacher for 13 years and just really coming into these wisdom and hearing these things that I really feel is the universe speaking through me to other people, some things are more important than how I feel about my face or my body. So
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Amen.
As far as I know, of course, you're perfect in every way. So,
Well, when, sometimes girls in certain relationships don't hear all kinds of positive things about themselves. And sometimes we're raised in certain ways where we're not told those things. And then, so how else do we know? When we live in a culture full of magazines and a way that they portray beauty, where everybody looks the same or is gaunt or thin or, whatever the era is, it's different. There's no real point of reference for girls sometimes.
that is really so true. Then the other thing is that you have to be a young, skinny girl. But there, I know some beautiful women that are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who have got a wonder, and their hand goes up.
Then the crowd goes wild. Play your
You should be very proud of the person that you are and the smile that you have. And it amazes me that you still were afraid to speak out and to be, and it caused you a lot of angst to be able to do those things. You are highly intelligent. You speak really, really well. You are much prettier than me. I have a face for radio and you have a face for TV. So hey, there's another song. I have a face for radio and you have a face for TV. What do you think?
I did so much work. I think I still do work on myself. I don't go out on Friday, Saturday nights. I'm home doing work. It's taken a lot to get here. In university, I even just reading the book or reading the textbooks, I took psychology and I would have to read them all a couple times. When I wrote a test, I had to go through it, 2 or 3 times. But I really believed in myself and believed that I was here for a different purpose. And I follow that every day. I follow that there's something bigger than me. And that's the frequency, the vibration, that interconnected path that I live on.
But that's not, and I want to make this perfectly clear. That is not something that somebody gave you. That was something that was a present that you gave yourself, the permission to do that. Am I right?
Interesting. Like, which part do you mean? Let's explore that.
The part that I mean is that rather than somebody saying, Andrea, here, I'm going to make you go down and I'm going to make you meditate and I'm going to make you do this and then you're going to do this and then it's going to be that. You did it yourself. You were the powerful one to make it all happen. It wasn't somebody, an external force that was within earshot that would make you do these things. This was a decision that you made for yourself, and it's a decision we all have the ability to make. I don't care who you are or what your past has been. You can make that decision to do it today. Don't wait. You can do it.
Can. You absolutely can. Absolutely can. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter where you're from. This is something that's in your heart, which is there is no barriers. There is no building. There is no city. There is no country. There is a vibe and an interconnected frequency, and you are it. And you absolutely can. And this is, the main message. If I look at my cheat sheets of every podcast I do that I want people to know, is I want to show you have all you need inside you, and you absolutely do. I'm no different than anybody else. I'm not special. I'm not anything. I just cultivated these things. I had really good teachers and I worked really hard at it. And you don't have to. You can understand the concept. I'm not saying anything new to anybody. This is in the heart, and everybody has this power and this ability inside of them.
I'm going to make one slight disagreement with you. And that is that you are special, but we are all special. And we have the ability to make it work because we were born great. I say in the opening, we were born great. And we spend our whole life having people say, you're really not so great. but
Mhm.
who are they and who cares what they think? You were born great. You'll always be great. We're talking with Andrea L. Wehlann. Go to her website, which again is
Ganga Moon Yoga squaresite.com.
we need to take another 30-second break. And then when we come back, we've got our final segment with Andrea, and we'll get her information out and the book she's written so that you can contact her
Mhm.
and she can talk to you on the phone. And really dedicated to what she does. And by the way, she's very good at it. But that's because she's great. We'll be right back.
A lifetime of savings can disappear overnight. Millions of dollars are stolen every day from unsuspecting older adults by family members, caregivers, and trusted professionals. If you suspect financial exploitation, call the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 or go online to the National Adult Protective Services Association to be connected with help in your area.
Hey, it's the first time I've done that. I play both at the same time. Hey, that's pretty cool. We're talking with Andrea Wehlann. And by the way, just wanted you to know that the other day I received an email. And by the way, you are always welcome to email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And I'd love for you to talk to me about the show and what you like. But I got an email from a family that is overseas, and they are in Asia. They didn't tell me what country they're from, but they said, in our country, we need to laugh. And your show is great, and we love you, and we love to laugh. And so this is a worldwide endeavor these days, and I'm so grateful that in the last 4 years it's gone from not much to being a going concern. And it's because of people like you that are here, and because of the expanded reach that I have, it just makes me so happy that I can then turn people over to you so that you can help them achieve the things in life that they would really like to learn and achieve. And it's a process, and it begins with Andrea. If somebody wants to reach you, how do they do it?
Yeah, you can find me on social media anywhere. If you're on LinkedIn, there's 2 pages. Andrea Wehlann, my author name. Amazon has my author name. Eventbrite has my events for the year, Andrea L. Wehlann. Instagram, and then again on Ganga Moon Yoga on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, anywhere. Just punch it in Google, you'll find me. Beamsville yoga teacher. Really, my books are available at any bookstores. Barnes and Noble, if you're in the States. There's Deeper Days for Finding Inner Calm Amidst Chaos. A book of poetry if you're looking just for a start or a companion, or to not feel alone in your life, or to heal, to find words for anything that's happened to you. They're all here for you. And Stillness in the Storm, a little spot where maybe you write something and free your mind a little bit, create some space in your mind, body, soul, for all good things: love, kindness, and compassion, peace. These are all your birthright, and they're all within you.
And I love the fact that they are also interactive. So like you can write down, you can use it as a journal, and
Yeah.
it's really important for you to do that, because that keeps everything present in your own mind, rather than and plus the fact, I think it would be really fun if you started this, if you bought the book. And which one would be the best one to buy? The 365 days?
I love what you said about they're interactive. They're really not books that you read cover to cover. One poem a day softens your heart. Even just reading one poem a day softens your heart, keeps you connected to your heart center, like listening to music, poetry, art. Stillness in the Storm is a journal, but there's also yoga classes in there. If you want to do yoga at your house, I've written out my words so you can read my voice to a friend and have a whole yoga class. There's 8. And Deeper Days is to strengthen those mental muscles. Just one thought a day. Be with life. Be with life. One thought a day, then you're putting into your mind, you're adding meaning to your life. And this is what you want to happen. You want to have your own stories and less of the stories from culture, from family, from past generations. Stories that will serve you, stories that light the fire within you, stories that highlight your greatness.
And you know what would be fun is for you to do that and to do it and to journal every day for 365 days and then get another book and do it again. And then in 5 years after doing this work and practicing and doing meditation and learning about yoga and NLP, which we've done so many things. We haven't talked about neuro linguistic programming as yet. Or we haven't also talked about, which is we're going to have to talk about that the next show, and also muscle testing and all the cool things that you can do for yourself to help you make decisions. As an example, when you go to the store and you go pick, should I buy the celery or should I buy the chips? But then muscle test it, it'll come back celery pretty much every time, I would think. So and we'll talk about that as well, because that's just energy. And
energy is everything.
You are remarkable. I'm going to give you the next couple of moments. I want you to speak to the people who are really listening to what you have to say and to give them a little bit of advice.
Oh, no pressure.
Of course
no
not.
pressure by Kevin McDonald.
And the cool thing is we've talked about this for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you had time to prepare and all. No, that's not how we roll. This is one of those things with that but you're really gifted at this. So
listen, if you're listening to what I have to say, then one thing I want to say is we're not separate. So don't feel like just send me an email with what's going on, gangamoonyoga@gmail.com, or send me a message through Facebook Messenger through Ganga Moon Yoga or my author name, Andrea L. Wehlann. You are not alone in whatever's happening. There are people that have been on this path before you that are leaving these tips of wisdom, like this show offers, like as if little breadcrumbs for you to follow along the way. The dark parts of your life and those really tough things are also your light. The other side is light. They're both together in one big ball of love, and you're it. This is the hero's journey. If you're off on a journey and you've wandered and you've been to some places and learned some lessons, go back and teach your community those things. You have gained wisdom that other people don't have, so share your story. If you're in pain or suffering, write it down. Write down everything that hurts. You can burn it. You don't have to keep it, but get it out of your system, because within you, past that pain and that glory, or beside it, somewhere inside you, is also love, kindness, compassion, creativity, joy. All of these seeds are within you. You're so much more than you think you are, and we're one. So reach out, write it out, practice, and hopefully we'll meet somewhere on your yoga mat or in email or through writing or on a show. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And you were concerned that you wouldn't have anything to say. Pretty amazing, I got to say.
Oh, thank you so much.
You really are a special person, and the light that you provide other people is the light that we can all provide other people, because you're right. We are all one, regardless of what shade we are, what sex we are, who we love. We are all together in this grand adventure, and I hope everybody takes advantage of it. Again, Andrea Wehlann has been our guest, and go to her website, which again is
Ganga Moon Yoga squaresite.com.
And she will be back again, I guarantee you. You all have a wonderful day, and thank you again for being here, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin at kmmedia.pro.
Oh,
Holy crap, that was fun.
yes,
And
absolutely.
the stream is still ending.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
It's going round and round and round the little circle and stuff. So anyway,
Oh.
we'll if this, let's see. Yeah, no, it's continuing. Having trouble